Hey, welcome in. It's Justin Barkley. We are back in another chance to win with something really cool. We got a Treetops Resort giveaway we're giving, plus Ultimate Fall Golf. The hookup at woodradio.com. Go online and check that out. A question: as the governor now has issued another executive order. I don't know. Are we up to like 180 now? I'm not sure what this was the number yesterday. Clarifying whether or not masks should be worn when it comes to kids playing sports. But is that safe? Kristen Megan joins us right now on Wood Radio to talk a little bit about that. Kristen, we appreciate you being here with us. And first of all, I will tell folks you are a PPE expert, but maybe you can give us a little bit more background. Again, it's been a while since we've had you on. Explain, obviously, what PPE means and what that would mean as an expert of that, and maybe why that matters.
Well, first off, real quick, I've worked in the field of occupational and environmental toxicology for 18 years. I've mainly worked in the role as a senior industrial hygienist, and that's basically evaluating, recognizing controls in work environments. And a main part of that is controls of the respiratory protection. So with PPE, it's personal protective equipment, and personal protective equipment is part of OSHA's hierarchy of safety and controls, and it is also the last resort. When you can't engineer it out, and you can't utilize administrative controls to make it safe enough, that's when you institute PPE. PPE can be a mask, a respirator, eyeglasses, safety glasses, hearing protection, cooling vests. It's an array of devices and products to reduce a risk of a hazard.
So let me ask you, as we look at this, we've been having to wear masks, many folks, around town, wherever we go. There have been some exceptions in those executive orders for who doesn't have to wear masks. We see those exceptions in these executive orders, and maybe you can outline a few of them. A lot of them has to do with reasons for safety, health reasons, people that have issues that prevent them from doing that. Don't have to, according to the executive order, even though because of these executive orders, there's been some confusion into what can and can't happen. Businesses, it's kind of like it's a gamble. We're not really sure whether they're going to recognize those exemptions or not. But lay out what some of those were in previous orders, Kristen.
When it first came down, I believe it was for children under 5 and those who had medical intolerance to the mask. And that's very, very vague. And now it's been moved to, I believe, under the age of 2 and those with medical intolerance. The problem with the medical intolerance is I can sit here and list off 50 different issues that can medically exempt mask use. I'll give you the top 5 from my 18 years in the field and actually coordinating these exemptions. The number 1 is PTSD. PTSD, claustrophobia, anxiety, COPD, and those who have wear oxygen or have certain issues with the mouth. So they have certain dental issues going on or facial deformities that can exempt mask use. But primary is actually mental health reasons. And I think the problem with that is I see on social media people say, well, if you have a medical issue that precludes you from wearing a mask, you're probably one of the people that should stay home. And I feel like it's unknown. I have a medical exemption, very open. I have PTSD. I have really good physical health, but my mental health, I have issues and I can't wear a mask. So those are the main issues. And it's changing, and this vague medical intolerance is making it difficult for people and businesses to really understand what can get them in trouble and what cannot.
Now shift that confusion onto the sports field, where kids are now allowed to play sports in Michigan, and largely because parents stood up about a week or so back, went to the Capitol in Lansing with the students, with coaches, and said, we want to play. The group hashtag let them play. Almost 20,000 on Facebook, a pretty decent crowd there. And the governor said she wouldn't be bullied, but she eventually caved. Now she said, here's the thing. If you're going to play, you got to follow my rules. So she steps up and says, everyone must wear a mask while playing. The question is that safe? And especially, again, let's call it like it is. Some of the headlines I'm seeing is athletes. Well, I just asked Brett Paquita, the sports director here, are the Detroit Lions and the other NFL teams, when they come to town in Detroit, are they going to have to mask up, according to the governor? He said, no. So why the kids? Some say she killed Nana. Now she's going after our kids. Should we be concerned?
Parents should be greatly concerned. It is absolutely dangerous and highly hazardous to utilize a facial covering, mask, or respirator when you are overexerting your body. And the reason I say that statement is because it's never one size fits all. What I find ironic is that during all her press conferences and in litigation, the attorneys for Whitmer continue to say she's citing the science. Well, Governor Whitmer, the science has been there since the OSHA Act and the OSHA's Respiratory Protection Program. In the workplace, if you're wearing an N95 or a dust mask, the minute it's soiled or wet, you must change it out. And again, I've gone over before the medical clearance, but when it comes to sports, we need to think about the issue here. When you're working out, you tend to breathe harder. Congrats, Justin. I've seen some of your workouts on social media. You work harder. And the reason that you're having higher respiration rates is because your cardiorespiratory issues are you're needing more oxygen and you need to exhale that carbon dioxide quicker. So when you're playing sports, you ever work out and you get that DOMS, that delayed onset muscle soreness? Well, while you're actively working out, you don't feel that instant burn because your body is utilizing lactic acid and transferring that and ridding it through the body through the exhalation and excretion of carbon dioxide. So when you are unable to properly rid your body of that carbon dioxide, your gaseous exchanges are impeded. And what happens is that delays cognitive function. You get confusion, and that's why every single person I know complains of headaches. And you continuously will hear from physicians who unfortunately aren't credentialed on these studies is that there's no risk. And even just sitting and wearing masks, yes, you can have headaches and health issues. But let's think about other things. In a workplace through OSHA, if you have PPE recommended, but it can create a greater hazard, you are usually exempt from that PPE and a job safety analysis and risk analysis is conducted. How are you going to don a football helmet while wearing a mouth guard? You're already creating respiratory issues with the mouth guard because right now, what is it, allergy season, everyone kind of gets a cold and people can't really breathe through their nose in the first place. So when you're donning this mask, you're making it harder. The mouth guard is a major issue. I cannot believe this has occurred. I can't believe it's occurred because, Justin, the biggest information here is that back in June, and I've already known this, but the World Health Organization came out even with a simple signage and YouTube video saying, do not exercise in masks. When you exercise in masks, it's that carbon dioxide issue I just mentioned, but secondary, soiling the mask and not being able to change it out as you would need to, is that you are going to invite further microorganisms into your respiratory system, in your breathing zone, and it lowers immune function. And we all know, we know there's flu season in the fall, regardless of COVID. When you go back to school, everyone's got the sniffles. It's just how it is. And we've all been in lockdown. Our immune systems need a good workout. And like I saw previously, you talking to the Fit Body Bootcamp owners, mental health reasons are a main reason people go to the gym. And now you're gonna further chastise a group of people who can't wear masks, even though there's exemptions. Let's be real, a lot of people are not honoring them. So the sports issue is highly hazardous. It goes against the existing science that's been around for 25 years. You do not wear a mask when you're overexerting yourself. In the workplace, I'll just finish this real quick. If you're doing heavy work, lifting or workloads or in hot environments with overexertion, you have to implement by law work rest cycles. And they're usually 15 minutes. And then you have to rotate the workers. And a lot of times when you're doing a heavy task while wearing a mask in the workplace, you have to be teamed up with a veteran employee with a new employee. Because why? The veteran employee has a little bit experience in becoming acclimatized to it. But we're not all trying to climb Mount Everest. So I'm tired of this argument that people do it all the time. They work out in masks. Well, who goes to the gym? Teenagers, elderly people, people with a wide array of physical fitness levels. This is the most mind-blowing executive order I have yet to see. And if I had a child playing football, they would not be wearing a mask and I would have an attorney.
We're talking right now with Kristen Megan, who's a PPE expert in the field, talking about whether it's safe or not for kids to wear masks. You just mentioned the WHO. Mm-hmm. And here is that. By the way, this post, if you're watching on Facebook, and you can see this video is streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, as long as they'll keep it up. I don't know. They tend to take things down. But this is actually right from the WHO's website. And actually, it's from Facebook itself. It's from a Facebook post on June 16th. And it says people should not wear masks when exercising, as masks may reduce the ability to breathe comfortably. This was posted by the World Health Organization onto Facebook. And the question is, can people wear masks while exercising? They say don't do it. They go on to say sweat can make the mask become wet more quickly, which makes it difficult to breathe and promotes the growth of microorganisms. The important preventative measure during exercise is to maintain physical distance of at least 1 meter from others. My question is, when the governor talks about the science and the data, as I'm sure she will coming up here at 10 when she does her press conference, what science and data is she using?
There isn't any, Justin. There is no science or data. It's not even allowed. Prior to COVID, under OSHA, you cannot work out or overexert yourself. You are protected because it's hazardous to human health. Why? Because people who do that have special medical clearances to make sure. Like, I understand what firefighters wear, SCBAs, it's different. You know, they're wearing a full mask and it's heavy. But they have supplied oxygen. But anytime anyone covering their mouth and face and you're impeding that natural respiratory cycle of intake and outtake, it does impact other systems. And what I have seen of my 18 years in the field is when people have overexertion tasks while in the mask, if they're not using the proper work rest cycles, we saw issues with kidney function. Not only did we see cognitive issues that led to other safety issues because people were falling out and hurting themselves while using tools, but also we saw issues with kidney function because renal function is impacted when you have reduced oxygen and CO2 and you're not getting the proper respiratory exchanges. Yeah. And we have to also remember that all of us have a different array of medical issues. You have people with asthma that still are cleared for sports because they can control it. This is just putting on another load. But
so I just want to ask you, Kristen, before we move on, just real quickly, there's a comment here. Mm-hmm. Kelly says the first kid that falls out, Whitmer should be sued. The question then is, I'm just curious, how long until we start seeing the repercussions of this? Is this going to be something that happens immediately? What should parents be looking for also if their kids are wearing these masks and start to have issues?
The first sign you're going to see is increased issues of confusion. You're going to see cognitive delay, cognitive confusion, speech confusion, things that'll happen when you have low oxygen. And the issue is that these masks will become wet from the sweat and they're going to continue to move up and down. And then what happens? They're further going to touch their face. So yes, I know now when people are ill, they're instantly thinking, I hope it's not COVID-19. Well, while COVID-19 is serious, there are other issues that are usually circulating right now. The common cold is a form of coronavirus, and this is the time of year it occurs. So you need to understand that your children are going to be at higher risk of contracting these because of the environment inside of the mask. Because sports right now is muggy, it's a little bit humid, wet, they fall, they get dirt on it. That's soiling the mask inside and out. And I don't want to cut in but I need to tell your viewers something that's very important. I know that you've had another PPE expert on here, a friend of mine, Tammy Harriman-Clark. Yesterday, Tammy and I went on a Microsoft team meeting with the state's MIOSHA, in which they were going to provide clearance and answer questions for gym owners and with other professionals like myself. My husband is an environmental health and safety manager. I'm an industrial hygienist. Tammy is an EHS pro. We were blocked in this meeting. Our questions were refused to be asked. And they even said, well, there's no further questions. The professionals that were in that meeting who have experience, and I've managed the respiratory protection people for over 76,000 employees. I know about masks. I know their limitations. I've seen it happen. I was blocked from commenting, and I was very professional. The moderators did not want to hear any information because they know it goes against the existing science and it goes against everything that OSHA has been saying for the past 25 years. This should be concerning.
We're out of time. Yeah, we're out of time here. I got to ask you though, Kristen, last and not least, but for the parents, if they're got kids in playing any of these sports, what's your recommendation about the masks?
My recommendation is I wouldn't allow my child to have a mask. If your child has the passion to play sports, please make sure that you are finding the most
Are there other options?
Material.
Plastic sort of face shield, or is there anything else they can do? Or
why aren't we just using administrative control and putting more shields over the face? Yeah. You can't wear a mouth guard and then cover your face with a mask. That is a recipe for disaster. I wish I had better recommendation. I don't feel safe or ethically safe saying to wear them. while exercising. And I want to just point one last thing out in our short in time. Remember, when your children get health physicals for sports, their pediatricians and family physicians are not approving these physicals based on wearing a mask. So these physicals are now legally void.
Kristen Megan, PPE expert. I know a lot of people are going to make a lot of this politically because of the election, this very charged year, but this is not about politics. This is about our kids. And it's something very serious. I urge the governor to take a closer look at this. And I urge parents to look into this deeper, have these conversations with your school, have them with the coaches, have the conversations, and write to your legislators, write to the governor. Make sure they know where you stand on this. Kristen, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, Michigan, but the Bears.
She's ready for football today. All right, that's it for us. We're going to come back, give you more good news. If you're watching online, you can always roll back and watch it again. Also, search for us, the iHeartRadio app. You can hear the entire show, West Michigan Live.